Hi, fight fans. Welcome to Split Decision Boxing, my YouTube channel for all fans of boxing around the world. I haven't done a video for some time. Again, I don't know why I always leave it so long, because I really do enjoy doing these. But anyway, there's been quite a lot happening in the boxing world recently. But I'm going to talk about something that's very, very current. Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. Press conference yesterday ended in chaos when Chris Eubank Jr. slapped Benn around the face with an egg. Now, for those of you who are wondering what that's all about, if you're not sure of the history between the two, that they were due to fight a while ago, and it was postponed or cancelled because Benn failed a drugs test. He had substances found in his blood, or his urine, I think it was his blood, which were illegal and banned by the Boxing Board of Control, or the boxing authorities. So he lost his license for a while. He appealed it. He fought the case. In his words, he was cleared, and it's been put down to some chemical found in eggs. So he must have eaten a lot of eggs in the build-up to the fight, and then the eggs made him fail the drugs test. So that was that. But then he got his license back, and he's able to fight. And the fight is back on between Benn and Eubank. Now, again, for those of you who don't know, you must have had your head buried in the sand if you don't know. There's a history which goes way, way back to the fathers of Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. And, of course, the famous fathers are Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, who possibly the two of the greatest heavy middleweight and super middleweight fighters of that generation. They had two absolute classic fights between them. Eubank, it was, when they say styles make fights, this was a typical example of styles making fights. You had Eubank, who was he tried to put himself out there as the dapper gentleman. He used to wear a monocle and +4s and tweed jackets and have a cane and talk very eloquently. And then you had Nigel Benn on the other side, who was an out-and-out brawler, street. I'm not saying he didn't have any boxing skills, because he certainly did, but his style was, and his background was much more working class, if you like, from the streets, brawler. He'll fight any man, and he'll knock most of the men that he fights out, which he did. So, there was a huge amount of disrespect between the two dads back in the day. There were, the usual war of words, which I think went beyond the war of words. They got very, very personal with each other. Eubank famously said at the time that he had no respect for Nigel Benn. He just saw him as an obstacle that he must defeat to become, on his path to being a world champion, and that he hated the sport of boxing. He said it was barbaric, and he was only in it for the money, which upset a lot of boxing fans. And of course, it divided the nation in terms of who did you want to win, Nigel or Chris. And so to have both their sons to come up through the ranks as boxers, obviously that rivalry was on course to continue. It was always going to continue, wasn't it? It's going to sell tickets. It's going to put bums on seats. The only problem we've got with it is that Conor Benn and Eubank Jr. are different weight groups. So it becomes difficult. Eubank Jr. is considerably bigger in height and build than Conor Benn, and he's dropping down. I think to make the fight. But anyway, as I say, this build-up has been coming. And at the press conference yesterday, it was a heated press conference. There was a war of words. There were lots of insults thrown to each other where Eubank Jr. actually had more of a war of words with Eddie Hearn, who is Conor Benn's promoter. And it ended with the face-off. And when they had the face-off, words were exchanged as they got close to each other. I haven't heard what was said, but during the press conference, Eubank was making references to the eggs and omelettes and all kinds of stuff. And then as they got closer together, as they were face to face during the face-off, and their heads got very close, Eubank out of nowhere produced an egg from his pocket and smacked Conor Benn around the side of the head there. And then it all kicked off on the stage. His dad Nigel got involved and got Eubank around the throat, and security separated them and everything else. There were lots of threats made after that. As a consequence to that, today's press conference, and this fight isn't until, I think, April. Today's press conference has been cancelled for fear of what might happen now when the two meet. It's too much of a volatile situation. That's how deep this hatred allegedly goes. So again, it's good for the sport. It's good in promotion talk. It's good for the fight. It's going to sell tickets. I've got a question, really. How much of this was planned? How much did they know that something like this was going to happen? Was it even agreed between them all that this is going to happen, and it's going to, it's going to put a rocket, it's going to into the fight, and it's going to, make ticket sales so much easier? I don't know whether that is what's happened. No one's admitting that, and no one's ever going to admit that. They might admit it in a few years' time, once they're buddies and they've retired, and they're going on tours around the country talking about their legacy. But as it stands, that's the news at the moment, that today's press conference has been cancelled, or the face-off, should I say, public face-off has been cancelled. It's not going to happen. So if anyone was looking at going to that, then you're going to be disappointed, I'm afraid, because it's not going to happen. I am looking forward to the fight. I think it's a great domestic fight, British fight, with two names that, are renowned in the world of boxing. They're not particularly good boxers, either of them, by the way. Conor Benn hasn't really fought at a higher level. Of course, and then he had this hiatus with the illegal substance episodes that's gone on for a couple of years. And, of course, Eubank Jr., I think he's 25-0. I think he's 25 fights. I think, again, he's fought at a higher class, but neither of them are world class. Neither of them are world class. I think Callum Smith beat Eubank Jr. I may be wrong on that, but I believe Callum Smith did. So that's the situation. It's going to be a case of watch this space, I believe, as the story develops over the coming months, and I'm sure it will. I will put more videos on here. I'm going to make a determined effort from today to put more videos up, because I'd really like to get followers. I'd like to build my subscribers up and bring you boxing news as it comes. So keep an eye out for that, please. If you have liked this video, I've kept it short and sweet. If you have liked it, please like, please subscribe. It really does help more than you realise. Keep a lookout and set your alerts for when I post more videos. So this is Ray from Split Decision Boxing. Keep fighting, guys.